Is how we get down. What is good, everybody? Welcome in to the Coach and Company, the podcast. We do it every single weekday when I'm not traveling and we have the time to add to our content. You guys know that Mondays at BTT Studios are the busiest days of the. I just bit my tongue. How did that happen? I just bit my tongue. The busiest day of the entire week. Because in addition to our morning show, which many of you watch today, live on the Stadium Network or right here on our YouTube channel or on social media, we have my brand new radio show on channel 156 Sirius XM, Off the Ropes, part of the brand spanking new Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7. Then at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, a live recording of the Coach and Bro Show, which airs on Stadium at 11 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday nights, repeats at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. But the cool thing about being a part of the live recording, whether it's today or whether it's Thursday, that we just started something, whether you're an aspiring wrestler, a writer, just a fan that wants to talk to us, you have the opportunity. There's only 5 spots every single day to come on the show. The link is in our bios. They're all over social media, and you can be a part of the show. Now, the 4 that we had last Thursday, so different, so amazing, and that's going to be the next step we have in the Coach and Bro universe. All right, so here on the podcast, we never go longer than 20 or 30 minutes because we understand that you have a life and you have things to do. But coming off this weekend, and it's the last weekend without NFL content, at least for us. We started today our 34-show countdown to the first night of the year, September 4th. We're starting with the top 5 teams from the AFC, the top 5 teams from the NFC, and looking at their biggest games of the year. Then we'll have the 24 days to opening night, and that will be where we break down all the divisions, 2 teams a day, odds, totals, the whole 9 yards. This is where you want to be every single morning on Coach and Company. Now, over the weekend, as many of you know, I also work for the PGA Tour. I love golf. I also love greatness. There's a lot of fans out there that they're mixed on this. Would you rather have a dominant player in sport, or would you rather have really great games that come down right to the finish, whether it's the NBA, whether it's baseball, football, whatever the case might be? Well, right now, right before our very eyes, and he may not have the charisma that Tiger Woods had. He may not have the following that Tiger Woods had. But when you look at the numbers, what Scottie Scheffler is doing is nothing short of amazing. This guy has now figured out a way how to be absolutely fantastic. And what he did at the Open Championship, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Sorry, we have people at the front door. What he's done is nothing short of remarkable when you look at the comparisons to Scheffler and to Tiger Woods. Now, he won by multiple shots over the weekend. He won his 4th major championship, and the comparisons are incredible. You had 1,167 days that Tiger Woods took from his first major to winning his 4th major. And sometimes you can't make these numbers up, because it's 1,167 days from Scottie Scheffler's first major, which was the Masters, to his 4th major. He is now 1 major away from completing the career Grand Slam. It took Rory McIlroy over a decade to do it when he was down to just the 1 that he needed to win. And now Scheffler has a chance next year at the U.S. Open to put another major, and it would be 5, and all 4 in his back pocket. You throw in 2 Players Championships. You throw in FedEx Cup titles with a $20 million payday on top of it. This man now, in 3 short years, because he did not win his first event until 2022. His number, I believe, is 3rd or 4th on the career money list behind Tiger and I think Phil. But when the money really got ridiculous, starting with Tiger in 2000, that's when you see the money list really start to shift. Because prior to 2000, weekly they're playing for a little bit over $1 million. Now you're playing for $8 to $9 million a week, and the first place check is routinely 1.5, $1.6 million. This guy's a different cat, though. He did an interview at his press conference prior to the tournament that it didn't bother me, but it made me really, really think because he's a guy that he works super hard. Obviously, he's the number one player in the world. He's starting to have a gap that he could sit out for 3 years, not pick up a club, and he'd still be ranked the number one player in the world. It's crazy how much the distance is between number one and number two. But he gets very introspective. And on Tuesday or Wednesday, he started answering a question about how sometimes he asks himself, what's the point? He says the fulfillment of what he's doing just isn't there on a lot of days. He says to win the Byron Nelson, which is his home tournament, a tournament that he grew up wanting to play in, wanting to win. He did it. And he goes, yeah, like 3 minutes later, you're asking yourself, well, what's for dinner? He goes, very unfulfilled. And I was thinking about all the millions of athletes, all the millions of golfers out there that would love to win just one major, that would love to win just one PGA Tour event. And he's sitting up there telling us, what's the point? Sometimes I just go, you know what? If it takes away from me being a great father and a great husband, I will quit on the spot, paraphrasing. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. Now, he's the ultimate competitor. And from everything I've heard from the guys that I work with, that it doesn't matter if it's ping pong, darts, bocce ball, he wants to win. So him doing this interview and what he's really like when it comes to playing a sport is two completely different things. And I think as a competitor myself and somebody who would love to play professional golf, would love to have played professional basketball and earn a living doing something you absolutely enjoy, when you work so hard at it, and there's a lot of golfers out there that work extremely hard at the game, but can't quite get there, can't quite earn a paycheck. Bryson DeChambeau recently did an interview where he said, if you're outside of the top 165 in the world, you're losing money to play professional golf. Think about that. Only 165 players in the world make enough money to break even in professional golf. It's very expensive. It's very expensive. For Scotty Scheffler, the money is not the issue. He makes 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year. He's not even an endorsement king. Think about if he had a great personality. Think about if he really wanted to focus on doing commercials for TaylorMade or Callaway, whoever it is that endorses him, the four-letter word club. Who knows? But he doesn't focus on that. Imagine if he had the personality of a Patrick Mahomes or a team like Patrick Mahomes has around him, and they really focused on endorsements and commercials and all those types of things. Because I was trying to think last night of any commercials that Scotty Scheffler is in, and I couldn't think of even one. I'm sure there's some out there. I couldn't think of any. This guy is the most unorthodox, unique superstar athlete we might have ever seen. All the material stuff, all the money means nothing to him. And maybe, because I've made the argument that over the years, Tiger Woods, who never, listen to this stat, he never made more than 10% of his earnings a year on the golf course. Meaning, he had a couple of years where he made 10, 11 million dollars because he had 8, 9, 10 wins in a season. Which means he made over $100 million a year in endorsements. His Nike deal, astronomical. His ball deal, his apparel deal, I think was wrapped in with Nike. He leaves Nike to start his own apparel company. I believe he's with TaylorMade now, and they paid several of those guys, north of $20 million a year. Scotty Scheffler's not like that. He could be. But when he talks about his team, he talks about his coach that he's had since he was 7 years old. He talks about his wife, who they've been together since high school. Yesterday, I saw a full screen since his son, who I think is 1.5 or heading towards 2. He's had 7 or 8 wins since his son was born. This guy is unreal when it comes to all the different places that he can play great golf. And I just tip my cap to the fact that even though he has his moments where he frustrates fans like myself because I want a little more charisma. I want a little more when he's out there dominating and win by 6 or 7. Show me, because he's very stoic, very, very stoic. But he doesn't care about that because for him, he's making plenty of money. He's getting all the dubs. He now has enough that he literally has a lifetime exemption to everything once you get to a certain win total and also with the 4 majors. So, tip of the cap to Scotty Scheffler. And if he needs anybody to help him with endorsements, you can give the coach a call. You are listening or watching the Coach and Company podcast. We try to do it every single day to add to our hour show, which is every single morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, live on the Stadium Network, Amazon Prime, DirecTV, YouTube TV, and so much more. There was a lot more that went on over the weekend, and I don't know if this story is just bothering me because we talk about the WNBA a lot during the summer. And the last thing I want to do is get myself in trouble with any of the women that play in the WNBA. But this whole notion that somebody owes you something is just starting to annoy me. And the latest stand that the ladies made happened at the All-Star game this weekend. And you had a bunch of players that were chirping about how Caitlin Clark's team didn't show up for this and they didn't show up for that. But they had to throw Caitlin Clark's name into it, as if Caitlin Clark controlled the people on her team at all. But that wasn't the stand. They wore shirts because they knew they would have a big audience. They knew that they were in Caitlin Clark's home arena, but she was injured, so she couldn't play. And they wore shirts that said on them, "Pay us what you owe us." Now, I don't know any other company that can lose money for 28 years in a row. 28 years. Last year, they lost $40 million. But yet, the women feel like they are owed because the percentage they get, 9.3, as opposed to the percentage the men get in the NBA, which is 50. And they're like, you owe us another 41%. That's what they think. Their TV revenue is somewhere around $50 million. After 2026, it's going to go up to around $200 million. So they're already counting that money that it's here right now. And even when they get it, you're not going to get 50%. Why? Because you're not a profitable organization. A lot of these teams, I think over 90% are also owned, maybe more than that, are owned by the NBA owner in that same city. They're talking about expansion, and all of the cities, I believe, are NBA cities. Oklahoma City, they are talking about Seattle, Toronto, Philadelphia, Detroit, Cleveland. Oh, and by the way, Detroit and Cleveland have already had WNBA franchises and lost them. But let's put a team back in there now. Makes a lot of sense. And I think that over the years, there's been a lot of people that do shows like this that are scared to death to even talk about a female organization because they will use that to their advantage no matter what. And in this instance, I feel like the WNBA and the players are feeding into that. Oh, nobody's going to criticize us. Angel Reese has been doing it for months, and I respect Shaq. So, Shaq, I will never say anything about Angel Reese like RG3 does. No, because I love Shaq. And I actually have no issues with Angel Reese. Just own being a heel. That's all I've ever asked. So, if you're the WNBA, maybe you don't say, I want the same as the NBA players, because the NBA is a $10 billion a year plus organization. So, when they get half, they're getting half and still leaving the owners with over $5 billion a year. If you got half, you'd leave the owners with about 20 million, or when the new deal is done, about 95 to $100 million to run 30 teams, to run the organization, and still pay the players. It doesn't make mathematical sense. So to me, they might get to 15 or 20%, which could take some of their max salaries up to $200,000, something like that, which still will not be enough for the women. They have said, we will sit out until you pay us what you owe us. I'm trying to imagine another company, Coke, CNN, Fox, whoever, it doesn't matter who the company is. If they lost money for 28 years, hell, look what CBS just did with Stephen Colbert. He has the highest rated late night talk show in America, and they are canceling his show after next year. And there's been an uprising. And of all people, Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports has come out and he's given the best take that I've seen on social media, period. That show, unbelievably, has over 200 people working on it every single day for a 1 hour nightly talk show. And Colbert makes $16 million a year. They'll do it all the way through next year. Then they will cancel the show. And there was this huge uprising. Oh, they're doing this. There's a bribe. The bottom line is throw all the nonsense out the window. They lose money. That is why CBS is canceling the show. It loses millions and millions of dollars because you have 200 people working on the damn show. At Coaching Company, we have me, producer man, and 7 or 8 talent, and a social media manager. So we're talking 7 to 10 people. They have over 200, and they wonder why they're being canceled. It all comes down to dollars and cents. The whole world is changing. And if you're not making money, then you're not making sense. So Fox Sports just recently got rid of all of their morning shows and I believe one of their afternoon shows. Having studio shows is unbelievably expensive. What we're trying to do here at Coaching Company fits right into what a lot of networks are doing. When we got the call from Stadium, one of the first things they said when I asked them, why do you want our content? Why do you want us to be on your network? And they said, you're doing everything that we want to do, wrestling, combat sports, and sports betting, but at a fraction of the cost. They, like a lot of other networks, were spending millions of dollars on their studios and all the people that have to work in those studios. So now this whole media space that I grew up in, and it was local TV, it was get to the next level, top 10 market, hopefully ESPN. That's all changed now. Even ESPN is going away from the hardcore studio shows. They've got Get Up, they have First Take, but McAfee, he's in Indianapolis. He is technically a remote show. And yeah, he's on a big time number, but if you guys knew how much it would cost to do his show in a Bristol studio, it would be far more than the $90 million they're paying him over the course of the 5 years. Everything is changing, and the WNBA players need to understand that. This whole notion that, well, we're more popular. And so because we're more popular, it doesn't matter how much money the league's making, we are owed that. And then using that new 3-on-3 league as leverage. 2 of their top people, who are also 2 top players, came out over the weekend and they said, we've never had more leverage than we've had right now. Ever. And either they're going to pay us or we will find basically something else to go and do. Well, all of these NBA owners who have been losing money for many years, but they've been doing what they consider the right thing to do to keep this league in business. Do you think for a second they're going to blink an eye at letting you sit out and them not losing money? They did not become wealthy owners by losing money in business ventures. They will not care. But yet you continue to threaten them by wearing T-shirts at your own All-Star game to turn a positive spectacle into a negative negotiation ploy. That's what you guys did. You ladies did. These NBA owners that own your franchises that have been keeping you in business so you don't have to go and play in Russia or one of these European countries, which now are not paying the big money anymore, like Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner. They were making well over $1 million a year because in other countries, they don't have as much as we do here in the United States. There is not as much entertainment, so they get elevated. Here in the United States, you got to cut through. You got to be somebody and an organization or a league that cuts through. And right now, as much and as popular as they think they are, the numbers do not match up to what they want. It'll be front page news, headlines, probably for a week. And if they sit out for longer than a week, it'll be out of sight, out of mind. There is plenty other things that shows like this one can focus on when it's WNBA season, when it's May to August. We'll find something else to do. We'll have no issues with that. Now, we don't want them to. I enjoy the WNBA. I don't enjoy when they are, instead of putting together a proposal that compromises, they made it, nope, we want that. And if you don't pay us that, we're sitting out. That's not a negotiation. That's not a compromise. You're not going to go from 9% to 50% just because your new deal is $200 million a year instead of 45. Maybe ask for 25. Maybe ask for 30. But you think you're going to get 50 like the NBA guys do? Never going to happen. Never, ever, 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 ever going to happen. A couple other quick topics, and then we got to get out of here. And do not forget, we still have Off the Ropes today, 2 to 4 Eastern time, and the Coach and Bro Show at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Chris Paul, this broke in the last hour or so. He will play for a 21st NBA season, and he's going to go back to the team where he played several years for and loved playing for Ty Lue, and that's the LA Clippers. Apparently, according to ESPN.com and Shams, boy, Shams has been getting some criticism. He put the Marcus Smart story as breaking news. Gilbert Arenas lost his mind. Breaking news? Marcus Smart is breaking news in 2025? I thought it was pretty hilarious. So Chris Paul, the Bucks were after him. The Hornets were after him. He's a 12-time All-Star. But he's lived in LA for many years, even when he got traded out. I think he still left his house in the LA area. So, it says right here he still lives in LA. So, that's a nice pickup. He still has some gas in the tank. So congratulations to him. Also, finally, Keegan Bradley, our Ryder Cup captain. I think this could be the most exciting Ryder Cup we've ever had. It's going to be at Bethpage Black in the shadows of New York City. It's going to be amazing. He said Bryson DeChambeau will make the Ryder Cup team. And that's been such a big issue since a lot of the top American players went to play at LIV. You had Bryson, you had Brooks Koepka, you had Dustin Johnson, you had Phil Mickelson. And with their world rankings going down and the way they do the points, it almost makes it impossible for a player to qualify on points. They would have to be somebody that gets handpicked by the captain, Keegan Bradley. So for Bradley to say this, you're talking about Bryson who won the U.S. Open last year. You're talking about Bryson that over the weekend started with a 78, came all the way back to a top 10 finish because he grinds. He's a battler. He gets after it. He is beloved by golf fans now. You need him on this team. So I love that Keegan Bradley put this out there. There won't be any issues. I don't think any player out there that might be 11 or 12 can honestly, in an interview, say, yep, I deserve it over Bryson. Bryson has proven he is a top shelf player. He is a major champion. And just because he plays on LIV, we need him on this team. So good for Keegan Bradley. The other big question is, will Keegan play as the captain? Because Keegan right now is playing as well or better than probably 6 of the players that are on the team right now. He's playing great. He just won the Travelers. Amazing stuff. Can't wait for August. I'll be doing the St. Jude, by the way, for PGA Tour Live. And then the Ryder Cup is in September. And we'll have, of course, full coverage of that right here on Coach and Company. All right, that's going to do it for now. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the morning show. Do not forget about weekday wagers at 2 p.m. Eastern time on our Coach and Company YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so to both. Appreciate you guys very much. All right, we got to keep this train rolling on our busiest day of the week. For Producer Man behind the scenes, I am the Coach. This has been the Coach and Company podcast. There's only one. Have a great day.